Hello and welcome to another edition of the PHNX D-Backs podcast right here on PHNX. My name is Derek Montia. Of course, I am your mayor of PHNX, allegedly. Sometimes this guy next to me, sometimes he's my vice mayor, sometimes he's just the antagonist in my life. It's the one and only Thunderstick, Jesse Friedman.
I'm always the antagonist in your life, Derek. Let's be real here.
That's absolutely the truth. There are, of course, breaking news. We got breaking news.
Legendary breaking news. Jesse, hit us with it.
What we got?
Yeah, this is a little anticlimactic, and it doesn't really have anything to do with the Diamondbacks. I mean, I guess it sort of has to do with the Diamondbacks. It has to do with Diamondbacks history. The Milwaukee Brewers have landed Diamondbacks legend right-handed reliever Taylor Clark in a trade with the Kansas City Royals in exchange for infielder Cam Devaney and right-handed reliever Ryan Brady. Big trade. I mean, like right
it's
after
bigger than the Yoshinobu Yamamoto news.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, there was the Ohtani contract, and then there was Taylor? Yeah, there's Eric Fetty.
That was number 2.
Eric Fetty was number 2, and then number 3 was where is Taylor Clark going to land this offseason? We have our answer. It is the Milwaukee Brewers.
That was an absolute abuse of the Espo breaking news sounder, and I don't appreciate that one bit. A ski to all of you out there. Happy to have you guys here today, and happy to talk about Yamamoto. Since Jacob brought him up, not happy. I guess.
Are you happy to talk about
That's the wrong word to use, considering that John Heyman has said that the Yankees and the Dodgers are co-favorites, as he said, for Yamamoto, and I don't like that one bit, Jesse. Don't like that one bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's not all that surprising, right?
I
think it always seemed like the New York teams. I think the Mets are maybe still in this to some extent as well. The Yankees certainly. The Yankees seem to be a little more Yankee-ish this offseason, where it seems like they're being a little more aggressive. They obviously made the Juan Soto trade. They also traded for Alex Verdugo. Their lineup looks, more formidable, certainly, than it did before. A lot more formidable than it looked this past season. So, yeah, I mean, the Yankees they don't like living near the bottom of the AL East. There's some really good teams out there, and still work left for them to do. And Yamamoto would certainly be a big part of that. We talked yesterday about Yamamoto, his meeting with the Dodgers in LA that had basically the whole cast of characters with Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts and Shohei Ohtani, as well as Will Smith.
James Outman.
And yeah, Chris Taylor was not invited to the party, but yeah, that's sort of the next big domino to fall. And I think it could happen pretty soon. His posting period ends on January 4th. I don't think it's going to go anywhere close to that long, though. I think we'll probably have an answer on Yamamoto's future team here probably within the next few days.
I think it was Jeff Passan. He tweeted out the Dodgers payroll for next year, what each guy is making, and showed that Ohtani was at the bottom of that mountain right there. So, of course, as much as Ohtani, as much as we've already talked about the deal favoring the Dodgers, it favors them even more so, because now you have players that yearn to play with someone of Ohtani's caliber, and you have a team now that has the cap space, or the competitive balance tax space to go after these guys. And that's why life is unfair, and everything makes me sad, Jesse. Everything makes me sad. But of course, the Diamondbacks could make me happy if they make a couple of more moves. Mike Hazen's moves as GM have been pretty damn good, especially lately over the last couple of seasons. We're going to snake draft his best moves of his time here in Arizona. But before we get to that, we did have some more potential free agent targets that the Diamondbacks could potentially go after. One that's completely Jesse's idea and is probably going to upset each and every one of you. But before we get to that one, Tom Murphy is a potential candidate, free agent, 32-year-old, part-time catcher some DH as well. Not anybody, of course, that's going to move the needle, a bit like the Taylor Clark deal that we're kind of joking about there, but definitely somebody that the Diamondbacks could use. Guy had some good offensive numbers here, 290 batting average, 335 on-base percentage, and a 538 slugging, 8 home runs, 17 RBI, 0.8 FWAR, so not great there, but very limited playing time. So in that small sample size, that's some pretty good numbers that he put up.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Mitch Garver yesterday, and I think Tom Murphy is similar in some ways in that those offensive numbers. I mean, 290, 335, 538. Like, you're talking about numbers that would be in line with roughly what Corbin Carroll did last year, right? Or Ketel Marte. Like, those are really, really good numbers. Granted, he didn't play a whole lot last year. I think that was over about 150, 160 plate appearances, something like that. He was the Seattle Mariners' backup catcher. Cal Raleigh, of course, has really come on strong and been a very, very good player for the Mariners here over the last couple of years. But he wound up missing some time at the end of the season. He missed the last 6 weeks of 2023 with what was initially diagnosed as like a tendon tear in his thumb, but eventually they found a fracture. He wound up missing the rest of the season with that. So, yeah, I mean, it's hard not to look at those numbers and be like, this guy can hit a little bit. It's certainly a smaller sample size. I don't know if I would expect him to put up those numbers, over the long haul, like over a full season, if the Diamondbacks asked him to do that. But he can hit, and he's a guy who probably won't cost you a whole lot compared to some of the other names that we've discussed.
I think that's the thing is that this would be a very Mike Hazen move for, again, grabbing someone under the radar, somebody that maybe not a lot of people are aware of based on his limited playing time, and could end up being a really decent option for this team, not only as a backup catcher, but potentially as that DH, if he could put up those kind of numbers over the course of the season. Now, he has been injured quite a bit. It's not the same injury, though, right? So it's not like he has, it's not like he's an injury concern where like, he has a shoulder problem and it's kind of flared up over the last year. He keeps
fracturing the same tiny bone in his thumb every year, Derek. It's outrageous.
He fractured his left thumb in 2023. He missed nearly all of 2022 with a dislocated left shoulder, and then missed all of 2020 with a broken foot. So he's hurt himself quite a bit.
Yeah, and all of the different...
Mr. Glass? Are we worried about him breaking something else potentially? I mean, is that an actual concern when it's just a guy's getting injured and not necessarily that it's an ongoing injury that could, that could be career threatening?
I mean, I think at a certain point when you log enough injuries and like all over your body,
you're just durable. You're not durable.
Yeah, there are some valid durability questions with Tom Murphy for sure. If you go back, as you mentioned, he missed nearly all of the 2022 season with that dislocated shoulder. He had shoulder surgery. He was, hardly played at all. I think it was like 40 plate appearances. He was very good in those 40 plate appearances. If you look at over the last 2 seasons together, it's 201 plate appearances. It's not a lot, but his slash line is 292, 357, 523.
Ridiculous.
Which again is very, very good. But then you go back to 20.
That made Jacob go, what? Like, it made him sit
There's some pretty good numbers. Like, you don't really think of Tom Murphy necessarily as being that guy.
Nope.
But you go back to 2021 then, which it wasn't exactly a full season, but I mean, I guess it sort of was in some ways. He's never really been a full-time player. He played 97 games in 2021, and he hit 202, 304, 350. So there are just some questions here. Like that's why I wouldn't go into 2024, if expecting Tom Murphy, if he stays healthy, to be like a 900 OPS guy. I don't think that's realistic. But his career OPS is still right around 770. He's generally been, pretty solid offensively overall. And the Diamondbacks are a team that needs a backup catcher and also could use some help in the DH slot. And that's something that Tom Murphy, he could sort of check both of those boxes at a pretty affordable price. So he's not at the top of the list. We've talked about some other names that are more reliable, more durable, guys that you would probably rather have over someone like Tom Murphy.
For sure.
But there's an undeniable fit here. And he played for the Mariners last year, Derek. And anyone who recently played for the Mariners, there's an obvious fit there. So it's only a matter of time.
Tim said it in the chat. We'll just be the Arizona Mariners soon.
Right.
And that's exactly what we will be. I think that there are going to be some low-key moves like this that are going to need to be made in order for this team to be well-rounded and to kind of fill a lot of the vacancies that they're losing in the guys that they're losing. I think that Evan Longoria, he's low key guy that, of course, did a lot for this team in a lot of different ways. And I know that Torrey will proceed with the DH the way he has in the past if the Diamondbacks don't go up and pick up a DH. But a guy like this could be very valuable to this team in several ways. And I think at this point, with the kind of budget that they have left, they're going to need to look into options that are guys that fill more than one role at this point in order for them to get all of those positional needs filled.
Yeah.
You have another guy, though, that you wanted to discuss, and I'm not going to take any part in this. I'm not. So you go ahead. You have the floor.
All right, put up the graphic. Put up the graphic, Jacob. It's Andrew McCutchen. Mm-hmm. He hit 256, 378, 397 in 2023 with the Pittsburgh Pirates. 12 homers, 43 RBI, 1.2 wins above replacement. If you're not fully catching on to why Derek has a deep disdain for Andrew McCutchen,
then you're not a Diamondbacks fan. Then you're not a real Diamondbacks fan.
1 decade ago, right? 2013.
I hold grudges, Jesse. You know this.
Andrew McCutchen won the NL MVP award, and Paul Goldschmidt did not. And I get it. Paul Goldschmidt that year, I think that was the year we had like 36 homers and 125 RBI. The counting stats for Goldie were much better. I think a big separator for people was that McCutchen played center field at the time. He doesn't play center field anymore. Played center field at the time, whereas Goldie was a first baseman. That's a whole other conversation. We won't go too far down that road. I tend to get in deep trouble on this show when I entertain conversations about things that were traumatizing in the past. But yeah, Andrew McCutchen, as you saw there, like put up some pretty decent numbers in 2023 with the Pittsburgh Pirates. He did miss some time toward the end of the season with a partially torn Achilles, which figure a fairly significant injury there. He played 98 games at DH in 2023 for the Pirates, just 8 in right field. I don't know if he's a guy you really want to play a whole lot in the outfield at this point. We've talked a number of times about a number of different players who would be more in that DH spot than someone you want to play in the field. So I think McCutchen would be one of those guys where in an emergency situation, you could put him in the outfield, but you probably want to avoid that. He can still run though, Derek. Granted, with the torn Achilles, we'll have to see if that's still something that teams want him to do in 2024. He stole 11 bases this past year, which impressed me. Had 77th percentile sprint speed, which is also impressive for a man that is now 37 years old. But yeah, another guy who, you look at a 378 on base percentage. The Diamondbacks did not have a single player on this roster with an on base percentage that high. Corbin Carroll was their highest at 362. There's a lot of value in a 378 on base percentage, even for a guy who, granted, does not have the kind of power that he once did.
Are you done?
Derek is just really refusing to talk about this.
No, I don't want to entertain. Look, I don't need to entertain every free agent idea that this guy comes up with, and this is definitely one that I refuse to entertain. But sure, yeah, he still has a lot to give.
As he doesn't even use a coaster on this table.
Yeah, neither one of us are using coasters, to be honest.
I don't think this is real wood, for being totally I don't think I'm putting this lovely
it's
table.
Not a real snake.
We also have a table that has to last us, Jesse.
Yeah, but if it's not real wood, it's not going to hurt anything, right?
That's what they all say.
Boy.
Look how many chips there are on that
My
table.
mom just lost her mind hearing you say that. All right, well, the Diamondbacks continue to win as they scratch off their free agency list. Of course, they still have a lot of spots still to scratch off. Let's take a look at their scratcher card here, presented by our friends at Arizona Lottery. But, of course, you can also win with holiday scratchers from Arizona Lottery. Make sure to pick some up right now or last minute, like Jesse is going to inevitably do, no matter when you're shopping, whether it's already done, whether you're doing some stocking stuffer shopping, or again, whether you're going to stop literally on the way to the company party tonight to get your gift, like I know Jesse Friedman is absolutely going to do. They make a perfect gift. There are scratches for everyone on your list, and the top prizes are up to $500,000. So go out and buy your holiday scratchers today. Find a retailer like our friends at Circle K near you at ArizonaLottery.com. Jesse, do you have your gift for tonight?
I do not have my gift for tonight. But I do have...
This man loves last minute shopping.
I do have ideas, and I know where I'm going to go, and I know probably what I'm going to get.
That's
although
good.
I'm open to any, if I
any
see,
suggestions?
If I see... No, not suggestions. At least not from you. I can't be asking you for suggestions when there's a chance that you might actually be the recipient of my gift. But
that is fair.
Yeah, I'm gonna figure it out. I always come through, Derek. I always still wind up with the gifts, even if I get them 2 hours before.
Well, I was going to say, if you would have put some more time and thought into this, maybe you could have ordered some sunglasses from Shady Rays for someone tonight. I'm sure they would have loved them. They're gear built to last. They're premium polarized sunglasses. We know about their crazy lost and broken replacement plan. But Jesse, you're in luck because they have a location here in town at Kierland Commons. So if you need to do your last minute shopping, you can stop by there. Of course, you can also shop at shadyrays.com. If you don't love your Shady Rays, you can exchange them for a new pair, return them for free within 30 days. And that goes on to the person you're purchasing them for as well. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com and use code PHNX for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. Well, we thank you guys, of course, for being here on the PHNX Sports YouTube channel right now. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, make sure to do so. Sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss when any of our wonderful shows go live. Leave us a thumbs up. We always love our attaboys. If you're listening on the audio podcasting side, we love you too. Make sure to subscribe to us on that side as well. Leave us a review. We always appreciate those 5-star reviews. Well, we talked about Mike Hazen, and obviously we know of the good that he's done here. We also know of the not so good at times. We know that he has swung and missed on some deals in his time as general manager of this team. But we decided that since we are big fans of what he's done so far this offseason, that we would take a chance to snake draft our favorite moves of the Mike Hazen era. Right? That's what we're calling this.
This is going to be pretty fun.
I was told I cheated. I did not cheat.
Jacob totally cheated. Jacob absolutely
has
cheated.
The first overall pick,
and he was the one that
allegedly used like a random number generator.
Jesse watched me put all 3 names onto a random wheel name picker, and it just happened to land on me.
Yeah.
So I didn't see what website you were.
I didn't see what website you were on, Jacob.
There's no probabilities added. There's no. You're not doing this to me.
No. All right, so here we go. We're going to snake draft our favorite moves of Mike Hazen's time as GM. We have our 5 rounds here, and I think we're ready to rock and roll. Jacob, would you kick us off with the first overall pick?
Oh, nice.
Oh, my God.
I've always wanted to use that music.
Oh, no, I'm the only one that gets it.
Oh, son of a bitch.
With the first overall pick in our snake draft, it has to be signing Corbin Carroll to an 8-year extension.
Interesting.
That's not what I would have gone with.
There are a few moves that I was contemplating taking here at this first pick.
Yeah, there's a lot of good.
But in terms of what is going to win me the public favor in the vote online, everybody loves Corbin. And in terms of moves that Mike Hazen has made, securing quite possibly a top 10 baseball player in the whole league for the next 8 years on a pretty team-friendly deal for what it's worth is a pretty significant and impressive move.
Yes, I'm going to agree with you on that.
That's what I go with as first overall.
Okay. That's Jacob's first overall pick. I am pick number 2. And that kind of shook me up a little bit.
Was that going to be your first?
No,
I
didn't. I guess I wasn't expecting. It's a good pick. I'm not knocking the pick. I like the pick very much. I guess I am just going to go ahead. This might be a stretch in the first round. I'm going to go with the Gabby trade.
Okay.
Going with the Gabby trade where they traded for Gabriel Moreno and Lourdes Gurriel for Dalton Varsho.
That's compelling. I mean, Gabriel Moreno is a pretty...
G-A-B-I. Let's get it right there, sir. All right, Jesse.
You know Yo Gabby Gabby actually started with G-A-B-Y because when I texted you, that's what I texted you. And that's what I tweeted out the entire season.
Yeah.
But nobody called me out for it.
Nobody. Jesse?
Oh, I'm really torn here.
I know.
This is difficult.
You do have 2 picks.
I do. Oh, you're right. I do have 2 in a row. 2 in a row. Oh, well, that helps so much.
Yeah, I figured I would.
I'm so glad that's the case.
Yeah.
Although, honestly, still fairly difficult. There's still a number of different directions that I could go.
Yep.
I'll go ahead and say, give me the JD Martinez trade in 2017. I know that the Diamondbacks didn't wind up winning the World Series in 2017 or anything like that. But just from a pure value standpoint, JD Martinez had the best second half in Diamondbacks history.
Potentially one of the best second halves in baseball history.
Yeah, like in baseball history, basically.
Like, for real.
He hit, I want to say it was 29 home runs for the Diamondbacks in the second half of the season. Just ludicrous numbers down the stretch. And I think for Diamondbacks fans, just like you're going to have fond memories of watching JD Martinez play in the second half of 2017 for a long time.
Yeah.
The moment where he hit 4 home runs at Dodger Stadium certainly stands out. And there's a reason, Derek, that a lot of people want to see JD Martinez back in 2024 because of, everything that he accomplished in 2017. My next pick to start the second round is going to be, I think someone just said it in the chat, acquiring Zach Gallen in mid-2019 in exchange for Jazz Chisholm. Jazz Chisholm, a perfectly fine player. This isn't like the JD Martinez trade where you feel like you didn't really wind up giving up much of anything. But I think if you asked all 30 MLB GMs right now whether they'd rather have Zach Gallen or Jazz Chisholm, I don't think there's really a question there. And the Diamondbacks' success in 2023, there's no way the Diamondbacks go to the World Series if they don't have Zach Gallen. So that is my first pick of the second round.
That's a very, very good pick. I am going to go with what I consider to be Mike Hazen's best free agent move ever in his time as GM.
Fascinating.
And I'm going to go with acquiring Merrill Kelly.
Okay.
2 years, a $5.5 million deal. Absolutely, just seems like.
Okay, if I put sign Mert.
Yeah, sign Mert's fine.
That,
sign Mert's fine. Yeah. Because Merrill Kelly.
You got that.
Absolutely.
That was where I was going.
Absolutely, in the diamond in the rough when it comes to what Merrill Kelly became versus what he was when we were talking about the Diamondbacks pursuing him versus everything. And we weren't even doing the show back then, but we were doing shows ourselves separately. And I think we both were intrigued by the Merrill Kelly signing. There was never a time where people were like against it because it was 2 years, $5.5 million. There was such a low, there's such a low risk there and such a high potential reward. And now we've seen that Merrill Kelly, again, you talk about Zach Gallen, getting us to the World Series. The Diamondbacks do not get to the World Series without Merrill Kelly.
It also, I will add just real quick, it was 2 years, $5.5 million with 2 club options that were very affordable. $4.25 million for 2021, $5.25 million for 2022. And there was an extension later on that allowed Merrill to stay in town through like this past season. But that initial contract was that the value there was exceptional.
All right, go ahead, Jacob.
I'm hinting at my hand in preview mode to you guys, but I am going with the Ketel Marte trade because I think that the way my brain is thinking about this right now is making the World Series this last year was the furthest this team has gone since winning the World Series in 2001. Like, it was a monumental year, and I think any of the pieces that were instrumental in getting them there, I think that's what you have to look at as Mike Hazen's best moves. Like, what got them the furthest?
Sure.
Right? And so that's why I went with Corbin 1 and Ketel 2. That trade was really interesting because I think a lot of D-backs fans were big, and I'll pull you guys back up on the screen, but I think D-backs fans were big Gene Segura fans.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Gene the hitting machine.
After the 2016 season.
He was pretty phenomenal. So it was definitely one of those big swings. And actually,
Mitch Haniger, too.
Well, Mitch Haniger was
part of that deal.
He turned into a pretty solid baseball player. I mean, he can't stay healthy, which is unfortunate because he's got the tools. But I think that the interesting thing about the trade is that you traded for Taijuan Walker. Realistically, Taijuan Walker was more of the piece in that trade than Ketel Marte was.
He was pretty good for this team.
And he's been a good baseball player since. So you got actually quite a bit of value back, and they just made the wrong decision when it came to which pitcher to keep when they let Taijuan walk.
See, that's going back to the reason why that Gabby trade was my number 1 overall pick was the value, like what you're saying. Like, it's not to say, like Dalton Varsho, I think that was also kind of ballsy to move your guy with the highest WAR on your team, right? But you also had the fact that, like, just trading for Gabby would have been like a win, I think, for the Diamondbacks, just player for player. But the fact that Lourdes came here, electrified this team, and did what he did, I mean, that's just hard to think of any better trade that has occurred,
Yeah, the like you did, Derek, the Gabby trade was right there for my number 1 just because Gabby's such a likable guy.
Yeah. What do you got for round 3?
For my second of my back-to-back picks, I'm actually going to go with the Mert extension.
Oh.
Because once again, extremely affordable for a guy who's quite possibly a top 20 pitcher in baseball.
Stupid affordable.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know what more you could ask for from any guy other than what Mert's given you over the last 2-3 years. Yeah. Like, when they signed him out of the KBO, it was really like, oh yeah, he's a guy that'll come in and he'll fill probably your 5, your 4 spot maybe. And all of a sudden something clicked, and it's probably something that Brett Strom worked with him on. But something clicked, and without having overpowering stuff, because I think we can all sit here and say his stuff doesn't jump off the page. He doesn't just have spectacular, like, he's got some great movement, but it's his location, it's his strategy, it's just his ability to pitch deep in the game. Yeah, the ability to throw deep into a baseball game. What's not to love? We live in an era of baseball where guys are throwing 5 innings. It might be a spectacular 5 innings where they strike out 13 guys.
Yeah.
But I'll take a Mert start where he goes 8 innings, strikes out 11, and gives up a run. Like, he's the guy that you want on the mound. And we've talked about it all year. He's the perfect complement to Zach Gallen, because if Zach Gallen goes out there and he's unhittable and you win that baseball game, great. You get to follow him up with Merrill Kelly. You're probably going to win another baseball game. You're going to get 2 in a row.
Yeah.
Zach Gallen goes out there, you don't get what you want out of him, and he loses that baseball game. You still get to throw Merrill Kelly out there the next day, and you still have a really good chance of winning that next game. So I think
this extension was especially, I mean, I think it was 2 years, $18 million.
Yeah.
And this was signed
team option for 25.
Yeah, with a team option for $7 million for 2025, which I'm going to take a guess and say the Diamondbacks are probably going to wind up picking that up.
Don't say.
The timing was impeccable. The Diamondbacks signed this extension immediately before Merrill Kelly took an enormous leap and became like a top of the rotation type starter.
Which is probably
that's unreal.
That's the one thing you could say about Mike Hazen's time as GM of this team, is that it almost seems like he always understands when the time is to pull the trigger, that it's not only the best value for the team, but it's right before these guys blow up. And it's like, that's what the talent recognition and acquisition portion of his skill set is so good at. You know, probably listening to his coaches, listening to scouts, having all of that input. But I mean, ultimately, he's the one that decides at times, and it all falls on him. And that's why my pick for the 3rd round is the best value pick of the draft, and maybe the best value of his time here as GM, getting Christian Walker off waivers in 2017.
That one, Derek.
Christian Walker, single, double, triple Walker. He hits dingers. Christian Walker having a day. And he's had himself a day since he's been a part of this team. 2017, he was claimed off of waivers and became a part of the Diamondbacks organization, and truly helped us forget that hole that was left by Paul Goldschmidt over there at first base. And his first season, people didn't really want to forget. They didn't want to move on, but I felt like he played so well and has played so well over there that it's made it easy for us to transition away from Goldie.
Yeah, it took a little while too. I mean, that waiver claim was before the 2017 season, and you didn't really see Christian Walker come on strong as like an everyday big league first baseman until 2019. So it took a couple seasons. But yeah, Christian Walker's just been such an enormous part of this baseball team, and it's easy to forget that he came on a waiver claim like just a few months into Mike Hazen's tenure as GM. Certainly one of the best moves he's made. That's a good one. Yeah, that was definitely going to be my next pick, but I'll pivot and I'll go to the Ketel Marte extension number 1. There were 2 Ketel Marte extensions.
The first one was absurd. The first one
was the absurd one, and that's the one that I want. So this is the pre-2018.
18 to 22 with the options for 23 and 24.
Yep, team options for 23 and 2024. So technically, if the Diamondbacks hadn't signed the second extension with Ketel Marte, he would still be on the team under this initial contract. Do you remember the value of that initial contract, Derek?
I don't.
5 years, $24 million.
That's unreal. People want to sit here and like bash Mike Hazen on social media and be like, he stinks.
Less than $5 million a year.
Okay. And granted, these were cheaper years. Like these were not. He wasn't buying out all free agent years. I believe this is like maybe the last year of pre-arb, and then the 3 arbitration years are part of this. So that's part of why the number is as low as it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, just remarkable value. I think the 2023 option was like 10 million. The 2024 option was 12 million, something like that. Of course, the Diamondbacks signed another extension with Marte prior to the 2022 season, which increased those options, just guaranteed those options and increased the dollar values a little bit. Now, Ketel Marte is under team control through 2028. That extension also looks pretty good at this point, although there's still quite a ways to go there. But that first extension, I mean, Ketel Marte got MVP votes in 2019. I know there's been some injuries. I know he hasn't always maintained this level of performance, but he was a huge part of their success in 2023, right? The NLCS MVP. And technically, that first extension that they signed would have been enough to make Ketel a Diamondback, not only in 2023, but in this upcoming season as well.
Yeah, for a very long time.
Yeah.
All right, what's your second pick?
Oh, man, I have to do another one, don't I?
You do?
Yeah, that was not on my radar. All right. Yeah, this is where I feel like it becomes a little bit harder.
There's still some value out there.
There's still some value out there.
There are some incredible value out there.
I'm torn between two, and I am going to go with a guy who has only played for the Diamondbacks for about a month and a half, and his name is Ryan Thompson. And the Diamondbacks signed him to a minor league deal in mid-August, and he went on to have a sub-1 ERA to finish off the season. Was really good in the playoffs too. So yeah, I was torn.
How should I do? Should I write this as like
just tea time?
Tea time?
It's just tea time.
Tea time.
Tea time. Yeah, that's perfect.
It was a minor league deal. Yeah, MILB deal.
Just,
I don't know.
Yeah,
that's a hard thing to put in 8 characters.
No,
but
that's fine.
He was a huge part of the 2023 season. Not only that, but the Diamondbacks have him for, I want to say, 2 more seasons, which is also huge. Just having affordable team control of a guy who looks like a pretty solid 7th inning arm for the next couple years moving forward.
I am going to go ahead and take another trade just to mix things up. I got a free agent signing. I got a waiver acquisition. I got a trade. It's time to go back to trades. And I am going to go with the man, once again, that was instrumental. When you talk about Ryan Thompson, this is the other guy that was instrumental in Diamondbacks making the World Series. And that is Paul Sewald from the Seattle Mariners. Jump around for Paul Sewald. Acquired in a trade for Josh Rojas.
Calling him C-word?
Did I? He's...
C-word? Sewald.
No, sorry. I'm criticizing Jacob. I'm not criticizing you.
Yeah, you wrote it wrong.
You wrote C-word on the
screen.
It.
Not me. It's you. You did that. Sewald. Yeah, acquired him for Josh Rojas, Dominic Canzone, and Ryan Bliss. Obviously, Ryan Bliss there probably.
Yeah, I was torn between Sewald and Ryan Thompson.
Yeah,
but the reason I went with Ryan Thompson is the cost was basically nothing.
Yeah,
whereas with Sewald, there's still some risk that Ryan Bliss becomes a pretty darn good
Dominic
player.
Canzone is still a pretty damn good player.
Rojas is could be a totally solid utility player for them.
I think the reason why I say this is because as much as I wanted to go with one of the moves that he's made this offseason, it's hard to without any proof of how that impacted the team. Paul Sewald, there is proof. You can see the impact he had. This team was rudderless at one point until they acquired Paul Sewald, and suddenly his stability at closer allowed this team to not only make the playoffs, but do what they did. It allowed Torey Lovullo to completely adapt his managerial style over the last month of the season, to trust his bullpen as much as he did, and those guys did not let him down. And obviously there were some situations like the World Series where Paul Sewald didn't have his best outing, obviously, right? But still, they wouldn't have even been there without him. So as much as sometimes it's hard to think about that game 1 loss there at the end, you also got to give credit where credit is due. This team, everything fell into place for this bullpen once Sewald was added and everybody else knew their role. And I've heard that from several guys. We had, obviously we had Gink in here and Ginkel agreed with that. We had Mantiply saying that. So it just felt like Sewald was pivotal to the bullpen making the turnaround that it did.
And he's back for 2024, which is so, imagine the Diamondbacks having an offseason where they don't have to answer the question,
what are you doing with your bullpen?
Who's your closer? Who's your closer on opening day?
Yeah.
That won't be a question heading into 2024.
Okay. You guys see my vision over here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything, and even Derek's is kind of the same thing. Everything relates to the World Series. Now, where my vision takes a turn is when you start talking about what do you do after you make a World Series?
Sure.
You double down.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You invest in the team.
Are you taking both? Are you taking both moves?
That is no. I'm going to take one.
What are you taking?
I'm going to take signing Eduardo Rodriguez.
Big.
Wow.
Big.
It is interesting because obviously I didn't know how to feel about these only because I don't know how people feel about like guessing. You know what I mean? Like guessing how somebody
how does forecasting the future. But yeah, I think it's a big sign to the fan base and to the rest of the team that we ain't done yet. We got more work to do.
Right. You invest in the team. You make people excited, right? Yeah. Like whether he's good or not at this point in time, people are excited.
Yeah.
Right? They're excited to see Eduardo Rodriguez pitch every fifth day behind Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly. That's 1A, 1B, and 1C. I mean, if you look at his numbers from last year, obviously, I think that this move is significant because it puts them in a position to have one of the best rotations in baseball on paper.
Yeah.
I get it. I mean, there's certainly some risk here in that Erod has yet to throw a pitch as a member of the Diamondbacks. So who knows how this looks in a few years. But for right now, I get where you're coming from.
You don't want to know what I like? He's already out there giving out Christmas gifts to boys and girls this holiday season as a member of the Diamondbacks. Yeah, like already doing that today. And like that's just amazing. Or yesterday, I believe, is when they were doing that. But I don't know if I've ever seen a guy get acquired and that quickly be contributing to their community service stuff that they do as a team. I think that's really cool. And I mean, we know that he's big on families, so I can imagine
the D-backs are great at that kind of stuff. That's what they're known for. They're phenomenal when it comes to community involvement.
I've always enjoyed it. I used to go and cover, I almost went this year to cover their event at Target where they where they have teens shop for their families and stuff. It's always awesome. Everybody gets like assigned a player to walk around with them with, and all that. Like it's a really cool experience. But yeah, no, I mean, that was a great sign to see him out there doing that.
In my last pick, I am taking the second Ketel Marte extension.
All right.
Because Jesse, you talked about value out of the first one, and it was crazy value. 5 years, $24 million. It's almost exactly what they did with Paul Goldschmidt.
Yeah.
5 years, $32 million. It was almost identical.
But it's harder to get them to sign that after they have the seasons that Marte has had.
Ketel was finished fourth in MVP voting.
Well, and Ketel signed this deal right after having a not very good season at all. No, I'm getting confused.
No, he was good in 2020. He was good in 2020.
He was hurt, but very, very good in 2021.
2021. Yeah, he signed this.
He signed this right before 2022 after an injury-laden but very successful 2021.
Correct. Yeah. So this is really interesting to me because still 5 years, $76 million. I mean, that's still crazy value for a guy that was the NLCS MVP and could have been the starting second baseman in the All-Star game.
Should have been.
Probably should have been.
Not.
Ozzy Albies hit a lot of I mean, it's a really like that argument is a tough one because Ozzy Albies hit a bunch of bombs. Like you don't get that out of a second baseman, but you get that out of Ketel. And you get that out of Ozzy, but like Ketel probably should have started or been a reserve. Like it was, you know what I mean? Like it was. Ketel is the guy you want at the plate in your biggest moment right now, I think, and he wants to be that guy. And so I think you started this window by making the World Series probably significantly earlier than people expected you to. I mean, you probably weren't expected to compete until next year. And even when you're expected to compete, you're probably still only expected to make the NLDS.
Elise is bringing up this is when the D-backs almost ruined his hamstrings, making him a center fielder.
That was a fun time watching him in center field.
I do have some questions, if I'm being totally honest, about this is through 2027, right? Like there's 4 more seasons here.
Correct.
I have no reason to think that Ketel won't go into 2024 and be a really good player like he was in 2023.
He's only 29.
I know. Yeah. He's still a relatively young player. He's not a fantastic defensive second baseman. So, the value is going to come from the bat, particularly as he ages.
Jesse, don't do it.
I mean, he can go to DH.
Jesse,
as of right now, if you put Ketel at DH, he would be totally fine.
Don't Jesse it, Jesse.
All right, I guess I should just stop talking. Well, I'm just saying, I think that at this point, it is hard to say. It is hard to fully assess the value of that contract. But I totally understand where you're coming from. The fact that you're getting, like, if you were to try to extend Ketel right now, like if he wasn't under contract for the long term right now,
significantly more than that.
Yeah, you're probably not getting him at that dollar value per year after being the NLCS MVP and being a really good player.
Connor says it in the chat. Insane value for a guy who could have his number retired and go down as one of the best D-backs ever. You're talking about quite possibly until Corbin eventually. but quite possibly the best D-back ever. Paul Goldschmidt could have had that title had he not gotten traded off, had he signed here for the long term. Paul Goldschmidt could have gotten that title and might still be in position for that title, considering he did play here for a decent amount of time. I think when it's all said and done, Ketel's probably going to play the most games ever in a Diamondback uniform. He might finish with the most hits as a Diamondback. He might finish with one of the highest batting averages, one of the highest slugging percent. I'm just saying, Ketel Marte is going to go down as that guy, right? He's the guy that started this run.
Yeah.
And so, to be able to sign him and get that much value out of a guy, and like you said, maybe he doesn't provide a ton of defensive value. I'd move him to DH, and I'd still be happy paying that. What did the Dodgers just pay for a DH?
Are we really going to have this conversation?
$700 million, I believe. Yeah. According to Ken Kendrick, that is. I am going to give you my final pick of this draft, and I think that it is, again, this is kind of like what you were saying. We don't know how this is going to play out, but because it's new. And it is an incredible value, though. The Diamondbacks had a huge need at third base. The cost at third base was high. They turned Sebi Zavala, who they acquired off of waivers 2 days ago, it feels like, and basically Carlos Vargas. That's it. They basically traded Carlos Vargas to the Seattle Mariners for a Eugenio Suárez that completely fills a need for them. Positional at third base, they had a huge weakness there last season. This guy could probably be a solid DH for this team on top of being an incredible third baseman, but they're going to bring his bat and his defense over here for, who knows? Again, Carlos Vargas was very good at times for this team, but definitely not consistent. And you have no idea, again, what he's going to become, but it feels very much like they did not have to give up nearly as much as we thought they would in order to bring a third baseman of Suárez's caliber over here.
So I've got the last pick.
That's it. It's all you, buddy.
All right.
Wait, Jesse, so you're going to talk about how you don't know what you're going to get from Ketel, but he'll just say, yep, trade for Suárez. And you're
I feel like
that's
a broken
great.
record. I would say the exact same thing, and that you don't know.
The last three picks, you could say there's no way to tell how they impact this team. But everything else before that was there was viable proof of that. Those moves impacted this team positively.
There's much less risk with the Eugenio Suárez trade because, just real quick, the Eugenio Suárez trade, he's under contract for 1 season.
Correct,
you don't have to pick up the option for the following year. You didn't give up any big trade assets to get him. The Erod thing, that one you're committing $80 million.
Yeah, you're guessing.
There's a substantially greater investment there. So that's why I didn't
risk.
I didn't feel as much of a need to go on the same rant.
So what I will say, Jesse, is if any 3 of those were available at the last pick, would you have taken them? If we had gone, say they weren't peel back taken. The curtain. Say we had gone Fernando Rodney, Brad Ziegler, and Tommy Pham, all concrete.
I think.
Would you have taken one of those 3?
I don't know. If I did, it would have been the Suárez trade.
Suck it, Jacob.
The Erod one, there's too much unknown for me right now. The Ketel extension, again, if you go back 1 year, Ketel did not have a good 2022 season. There was
the whole season pretty much.
There was a world entering 2023 where we thought Ketel Marte's second extension was kind of an albatross. Oh gosh, you just gave $76 million to a guy who wasn't good before the extension has even kicked in, right? But yeah, I see. Now, certainly after the season he had, I see where you're saying with pretty good value there.
Okay, what's your last pick?
There's not a whole. Yeah, it's tough. I'm tempted to go the Tommy Pham trade just because of the narratives and the clubhouse impact and all that stuff. He was certainly a big part of this team down the stretch.
God, he was good.
He wasn't quite as good. He had a 95 OPS plus after the trade. He wasn't the same hitter for the D-backs as he was with the Mets. So I'm going to go a different direction. I'm going to throw it back to 2018, and we're going to talk a little Chris Iannetta here.
That's a good one.
Chris Iannetta.
That's a good one, believe it or not.
In 2018, the Diamondbacks paid him, it was a 1-year, $1.7 million contract. And all Chris Iannetta did is come over to the D-backs in 2018. Or sorry, this is 2017. I'm getting my years confused. Yeah, this was 2017. Chris Iannetta comes over to the D-backs, hits 254, 354, 511, an 865 OPS with 17 homers in 89 games. That's pretty darn good value right there. And granted, the 2017 D-backs, as I said earlier, things didn't quite end the way that they wanted to, but he was a huge part in getting them as far as they went. I was also kind of tempted to go Daniel Descalso.
I knew you were.
I wondered if that was the other one you were looking at. I'm surprised it wasn't the Brad Ziegler trade.
Yeah, well, the Ziegler thing in 18 was, value-wise was great. The D-backs got Brad Ziegler from the Marlins, and they gave up a prospect who I don't believe has made the majors. But also, Brad Ziegler in 2018, I think that was the last year he pitched in the majors. He wasn't quite peak Brad Ziegler. This wasn't the Brad Ziegler that we saw earlier in his career when he was with the Diamondbacks and he was their closer and he was really, really good. But yeah, that was another good move. Descalso was a good move. Fernando Rodney, I think, would be a valid pick here, but yeah. I'm gonna go Chris Iannetta.
Joe Mantiply, I think, is another move we didn't touch on. That was a great move, especially considering Mantiply became an all-star for this team not too long.
It was a minor league contract. Yeah.
Well, what we're gonna do. We'll post this on our Twitter account. You guys can go vote for which one of us you think drafted the best team of moves, I suppose. And you can also make yourself some moves yourself over at the BetMGM Sportsbook app. Right now, you can get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if you sign up using our code of PHNX. All you have to do is download the app on iOS or Android or visit BetMGM.com. Sign up and deposit at least $10 into your newly created account and make your first bet. If your bet does not win, you will receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if the bet loses. Once it does lose, your bonus bets will be available once your initial wager is settled. All you have to do is sign up for BetMGM and use our bonus code of PHNX and place your first BetMGM Sportsbook wager through the mobile application of at least $10 or more. Swing for the fences. Remember, if you don't hit that bet, you will receive that money back in bonus bets. If that bet loses, your bonus bets will be available once your initial wager is settled. Check out the show notes for full details. And now listen to our baby boy Shane talk about the disclaimer.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Nevada, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in D.C., New York, or Ontario.
Ontario. We really could have covered Madison Bumgarner being removed from this team as one of his best moves, but that's for a later time to discuss, of course. Speaking of money and saving money, one thing you might want to do is check out our friends at Desert Financial Credit Union. Of course, for more than 84 years, Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union. They got me started on my home ownership journey, and they can get you started as well. They're dedicated to creating exceptional experiences by giving back to the community and providing financial solutions that make your lives better. Look to Desert Financial for checking and savings accounts, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and more. And right now, when you open a free checking account online, you can get $200 back in bonuses. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200. Jesse, we had a fun little thing come out. Jeff Passan kind of broke the story, but we found out that there will be a new top prospect event this spring coming to a minor league ballpark near you. Not minor league, a major league spring training ballpark near you. It's called Spring Breakout, and the best prospects from every Major League Baseball team are going to play a game against another team's top minor league prospects at a big league spring training facility. These are going to take place in the Grapefruit League and here in the Cactus League. All 30 major league clubs will assemble a roster filled with 20 to 25 of their best prospects to take on other minor league or rookie talents from other organizations. Each team will play at least one 7-inning exhibition game as part of the initiative. Our own Diamondbacks will take on their sister team over at Salt River Fields. That is the Rockies on March 16th. And so there will be one Arizona team, one Florida team, because there's 15 in both leagues that will play twice. I believe it's the Cincinnati Reds and the St. Louis Cardinals are the two teams that will play 2 games. But really cool kind of exhibition game here to highlight, because they did talk about the fact that a lot of times you don't get to see these guys until it's the 6th, 7th, 8th inning potentially of a spring training game. Everybody's kind of checked out by that point. Nobody cares as much. And honestly, it's something that happens almost in every spring training game. So that is part of spring training, but this is a bit more like the fall league where these guys are getting the spotlight.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's a fantastic idea. Yeah, I mean, it's just such a fun idea, right? Like all the best prospects from one team playing all the best prospects from another team.
And it could be any level, right? It could be
it sounds like these aren't just guys who are
phenomenal.
These aren't just guys who are like competing for the major league roster. It sounds like these are guys who could be down in like single A or something who are still kind of finding their way. I think it's a tremendous idea for Major League Baseball to try to showcase these guys a little bit more. And spring training is a good outlet to do it, as good a situation as any to kind of get everyone together in the same place and make a game like this happen. So yeah, March 14th to 17th, there's just going to be like a smattering of these types of games every single day.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be a whole lot of fun to watch.
My favorite thing is the Dodgers fan that tweeted about this, and he thought it was the top prospects from one team played your major league team. So he's like, imagine the 18-year-old pitcher facing Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, and Freddie Freeman.
Nobody wants to do that.
The whole comments were like typical Dodgers reading comprehension.
Well, it's a tremendous opportunity, obviously, for the young players to be seen. Tremendous opportunity for organizations and scouts to see their young players. I know it's just one game, so it's not like it's going to really change lives, but you never know, right? Like sometimes when it comes to the impression a young player can make on the powers that be, this is that perfect opportunity to be showcased and to be seen. Plus, it's just kind of fun. It's fun for the fans, and these are going to be great, like you said, 14th through the 17th. So make sure to keep an eye out for those games, and I would say definitely make it out to one of those during that stretch between the 14th and the 17th.
From a D-back standpoint, if they did this like a couple years ago, it would have been especially electric, right?
Brandon Pfaadt on the mound, Corbin Carroll out there.
Yeah, getting to see those guys before they became what they are now, especially Corbin Carroll, is obviously is really cool. But you can apply the same thinking now. Like there are guys
could see you Midland.
Yeah, potentially. Right. There are guys who will play in this game now that, in a couple years could be really good players, not only, for the Diamondbacks, but certainly all the other teams out there as well. So, I'm looking forward to this. I think it'll be the Arizona Fall League doesn't get the love that it deserves, and this is sort of like a second run at kind of what the Arizona Fall League is in some ways, except like pitting one team directly against another team. It's kind of fun to do it that way.
Also, Arizona continues to be baseball nirvana because we get this wonderful opportunity here, and only Florida is the only other state where this is going to happen. So make sure to take advantage. Another thing we are looking forward to very much so, is tonight's PHNX holiday party that is going to be taking place. And I just wanted to get, before the party starts, your predictions on...
What am I predicting?
Well, there's a lot that could go wrong tonight. So, I wanted to cover, like, who's going to bring the worst gift to the White Elephant Exchange?
Probably me.
It is going to be you. That is the correct answer. That's why I wanted to kick things off. Who is going to be the person that doesn't show up and has an actual excuse to not show up?
Oh, I was going to say an actual excuse.
It's Jacob.
Yeah.
Jacob's absolutely going to use the child or something.
The moment you have a kid, like, you have an excuse to get out of anything.
It's an excuse machine. Yeah. Like, you don't even have to try hard. You can just be like, I can't, the kid. And people are like,
if I sat here and I told you over the last week she's had the stomach flu, a double ear infection, and pink eye.
Sounds made up.
You sound made up.
That child
completely
is
fabricated.
That is literally what we are. That is literally what we are dealing with.
I don't believe that child has all those ailments. Who's going to drink entirely too much liquor at the party tonight?
Derek.
That's probably you, right?
What?
Did you specifically tailor these questions so that the answer always was someone's
sneaky answer?
Yeah, sneaky answer.
Espo.
Oh,
interesting.
That's exciting. That looks like, because I can see that. Because he's not going to monitor how much he drinks. He's not a big drinker.
Espo's jolly.
Yeah, and he's going to have a good time. That's for sure. Okay, I guess there's obviously Saul is going to give up. He has some speeches and some awards to give out to the team. Who's going to be the MVP? Who takes home the hardware tonight?
Jesse Friedman.
Wow, really?
No, I don't think it's going to be.
Yes,
no. It's probably Leah Merrill. Very popular in the office. Someone that everyone has a lot of mad respect for Leah's work ethic and so forth. She's the one who like sort of keeps our office from looking like a total bachelor pad at times. So
I also do that as well.
Yeah, it's pretty much you and Leah.
I put together the shelf that's
yeah.
behind us yesterday, so I do the dad stuff around here. I would say Damon's
Damon's
going
to be the MVP.
Yeah, I think he deserves it. There is
why isn't he here today, Derek?
Well, because
why does he get days off?
Tell people what you guys are nominated for.
We are nominated as a show for comeback of the year.
Best comeback. Yeah,
best comeback.
I think Rising, D-backs, and I don't even remember who the third
Yotes
was. No, I don't think it's Yotes.
Okay.
I don't remember who the third
It's us.
one is.
The answer is us.
Of course, comeback has to imply that you were really down bad in the first place. So.
Jesse, we started this show during one of the worst seasons in franchise history. We did
one of the worst seasons in baseball history because you didn't have baseball.
We did episodes during a what is it? A lockout? Blackout? I don't even remember what it's called anymore. I just know we didn't have anything to talk about for months. Come on. We definitely deserve that. The Rising. I mean, yeah, they won their championship, but still, we know we're the major sport around here. Anyway, can't wait for that. And of course, very excited to hang out with all of our wonderful teammates around here and have some fun tonight. So Elizabeth, of course, asks, you didn't invite the chat to the PHNX holiday party. Well, now I feel bad about that. I feel like I didn't do my due diligence. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have discussed it on the show because that's what you do. You don't discuss a party that you're throwing in front of the people that you're not inviting really to the party. It's probably pretty tacky.
You're part of the party planning committee.
I am. I put together tables and chairs and linens today. I was efficient, but of course, some of those snacks that we're going to have tonight, some of the stuff is going to come from our friends at Circle K because why not? We love Circle K. We love their snacks. And right now is a great time to sign up for their Inner Circle membership program. You can save even more on gas. Gas prices are low, but why not save another 25 cents off per gallon? All you have to do is sign up for the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details. But when you do, you will get 25 cents off per gallon for your first 5 fill-ups. You also get 3 cents off per gallon every day after that. You'll get buy 5, get the 6th one free on a selection of Circle K products. And you'll also be able to check out their 31 days of Circle K in the Inner Circle app right now, where you can get free prizes, snacks, weekly entries into bigger grand prizes, and so much more. So again, sign up for that today, and it is free to do so. So get the Inner Circle. Also, check out our friends from Game Time. You're looking for last-minute ticket deals. You're looking for last-minute present ideas. Game Time can help you out with both of those, especially if you have people in your life that want to go to upcoming games, concerts, and shows. Game Time is the place for last-minute ticket deals. It's the fastest-growing ticketing app in the country for a reason. It's also extremely aesthetically pleasing and easy to use. So just snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download their app now, create an account, use code PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right. Well, we thank you guys so much for stopping by. I have some more decorating to do upstairs, so I'm going to go get going on that. I guess Jesse's probably going to do his job and write an article or something. I don't know. I'm going to go move boxes, but we appreciate you guys joining us today. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter. I am at cap_caveman with a K. Jesse is at Jesse N. Friedman. Father Overlord Jacob, a.k.a. Faj, he is at Jacob_Franklin4 because, once again, he's the 4th best Jacob Franklin. Our show is at PHNX_DBacks, but, of course, all roads do lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We appreciate your time today, guys. We thank you so much for stopping by. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when Mike Hazen general manages your life.
We all silly like the mayor.